Hey guys, welcome back to another tutorial video. I'm the Lady Friend one. This one is a little bit different than anything I've ever done before, but there's probably a mixed bag of who's here watching this video. Either you're someone who is just curious about how to create custom designs for formal wear or ball gowns off of existing characters, or you're a fan of Edgar on twitch.tv. What I did here was I took edgaralanbro's mascot Lurky, the LurkyBro, and I brought him to life in the form of a ball gown design. I always said I wanted to do my first ever ball gown character themed costume before the end of 2023, and this was the first idea that I managed to spit out of my brain, so this is the one we ran with thanks to his blessing. So this is how I kind of made the entire ball gown. I'm also going to talk about how I came up with the design. And I'm also going to talk about Edgar, because I've been watching his stream for many years, and if you aren't, you should. So let's go on and jump into it. This dress, the dress itself has three distinct parts. There's the top, the skirt, and the petticoat. Now the petticoat I did just order on Amazon, and I start by making the top. So we're going to start with the back part of the top. So I'm taking a stencil. It's actually a template that I had purchased that I'm kind of modifying to work as I need it, and I'm tracing the two back pieces onto some purple satin fabric to then cut out. There will also be other smaller parts that I'm making. It's just we're starting with the dress, so that's why I said three parts here. But now we're going to take those two back pieces and line up the lines from the chalk so I can pin them together and then sew them together with my sewing machine. A lot of this is relying on my sewing machine. If you don't have one, you can sew this by hand. It's just going to take you a little bit longer. Then we go ahead and we cut away a little bit of that excess there. And with the back piece made, I'm going to move on to the front piece, which is actually just one piece of fabric. The template I trace onto a folded piece of fabric, so that way it unfolds as one piece that's together. So go ahead and trace that, cut it out, and then you have your front piece that's made. Now keep in mind, this is a pattern that I found where the top half of it just works well with what I was designing, and I just kind of made it work for me. You don't have to do this with a pattern. I just prefer to, and it doesn't have to be the exact one. You could just modify it since this is a custom design, so it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for sometimes. Now the sides of the back and the front piece where they should attach, so at the side of your body, we're going to go ahead and start pinning, and we're doing this while the front and back pieces are inside out, so that way all the seams are nice and hidden on the inside, because I don't have a serger. If you have a serger, congrats to you. You don't have to stress as much. But anyways, so we're pinning that and then sewing those together with my sewing machine. I also use this time to hem along the cuff, which is where my armpits are, because it's weirdly, you'll understand. But we do that hemming as well. And again, cutting away our excess fabric after that is sewn. Now instead of sleeves, it's an off-the-shoulder wrapping around my arms and my chest. So we're going to go ahead and cut that. We are cutting two pieces, the front and the back, for that. And it's with that template. And still, of course, working with purple satin. Now I'm pinning the two pieces together along the short sides, so it will wrap around my arms, and then I'm going to sew that together with my sewing machine. We then cut off the excess, and then we're going to go ahead and start folding over the top and the bottom to create hems and pinning where the wrap will attach onto the front and the back of the top of the dress. So then we'll pin those together and then sew those all together with the machine. Now, if you're curious how I came up with design, I decided what I specifically wanted to make. So I wanted to make a ball gown. I picked my character, and I kind of just studied the character in different style ball gowns and did my best to draw and combine those two. It helps to take note of the color scheme too while you're doing that, so you make sure you incorporate as much as possible, or key focal point details from the original character. The back is going to lace up, so I marked where all of the grommets will go with my sewing chalk, and then I am making the holes and hammering the silver grommets into place of the back part of the dress. Now, because Lurky is wearing a purple sweater, I felt the dress needed to have some sort of hood, so I'm using purple organza to create a hood. I'm kind of just measuring it to my head, since it's just going to attach in the front. So I'm measuring it to my head and then cutting and pinning so it will fit accordingly You could get a template. I decided not to. I like measuring things to fit specifically to me. So I'm doing all that, pinning, sewing, and then of course hemming the edges, because organza, it really gets frayed easily, especially if you're like me and you buy really cheap organza. If you're wondering how I came up with Lurky 2, I was also really intoxicated when I drew that. It was New Year's Eve. It was a really fun night, and I was watching Edgar's stream. So that's kind of the fun story of how I came up with it. We're taking a break from the top so we can work on the skirt, not the petticoat, the actual gray skirt. So we're doing like a gray silk bottom. I'm just kind of like measuring the fold that I need, since it's going to be all on an elastic band. I've already pre-cut and measured the fabric. I didn't show you guys that. So I'm just measuring how much I need to fold over the fabric so the elastic band will fit through, and then sewing that over. Now I am stuffing that little piece of elastic into that massive tubing of skirt. And I'm just going to try and push it to crumple it until I get both ends of the elastic hanging out, so I can pin them together and sew along the length of the dress to close it up, and turn it inside out. Well, not inside out. I'm sewing it inside out, sewing it the right way. I also then, of course, hemmed the bottom of the skirt, and then we can layer it over the petticoat. You don't have to attach it to the petticoat, though. I don't. I just layer it over, so then I can go use that petticoat for like 5 other dresses. I'm now finally taking a purple ribbon that's lighter than the actual purple dress, and lacing it through the back part of the top, since we're returning to the top since the skirt is done. Now this is where a lot of stuff kind of happens off camera. I am adding a purple skirt to the top that falls maybe mid-thigh and will layer on top of that gray, but is attached to the top and does not attach to the gray skirt. This takes 3 pieces. There's the front pieces and 2 back pieces. I did also have to add a grommet or 2 to the back, and then make sure the ribbon laces through those grommets as well, so it fully laces from top to bottom. And of course, all the hemming and sewing. But I did all this measuring. I did draping on my own body, so I didn't capture all that on camera. Now, if you're wondering why I chose edgaralanbro Live's super adorable, cute mascot Lurky to turn this into a dress, I have been a fan of Edgar's for a very long time. I've been watching his stream forever. I love Lurky. I love everything Edgar stands behind. So I figured he would be the coolest person ever to bring a character to life for, and I wanted to do something special for him, so hopefully he likes this. Now I am taking that hood and I'm finally attaching the front pieces. It's 2 like strips that go towards the middle of where the strap wraps around, and I'm sewing that onto that. And then I'm going to hot glue a tiny little pink bow with some of the leftover ribbon to hide the seams from that. That's on the front of the dress. But then we essentially have the dress. Now there is the dress accessories. We're back in the land of my own made templates. I took a measurement using plastic wrap and duct tape, wrapped it around my forearm to measure my arm length, and how the circumference is and everything, and then cut it off. And then I'm taking some more of that purple organza, and we're going to make these cute little sleeves that we wear on our forearms. So I'm measuring that, leaving a lot of excess because I want them to be a little bit poofy. I've already pre-cut the elastic. There's 2 sizes, one for the upper part of the arm closer to my elbow and the lower that's on my wrist. We're going to pretty much do similar to the skirt, but it'll be on both sides of the organza, where we wrap the top around the top piece of elastic, wrap the bottom around the bottom piece of elastic, snake it through, and sew the long edge, and then fold it the right way instead of being inside out, because we sew it all inside out. Did that make sense? I hope watching it at least makes sense. I know I don't make sense, like, ever. Now, if you're someone who's watching and you don't know who edgaralanbro Live is, almost said Broliv. He is Broliv. Who am I kidding? If you don't know who he is a streamer over on Twitch. He's a variety streamer that does a variety of games, mostly in the horror genre, but also things like Final Fantasy XIV, and so much more. He's such a blast to watch. He has great energy. He's a very kind individual. He might be 6 foot plus whatever, but he is literally a marshmallow. So you should definitely check out his Twitch channel. The link is in the description below. And that way you can see who little Lurky is for yourself. Now more about Lurky. LurkyBro is Edgar's little mascot. He does also have a Twitch channel called LurkyBro that you can follow. He's just the cutest little nerd with a purple hoodie, some jeans, and some little shoes. Really the cutest little nugget you ever done seen. So you definitely should check out Edgar. I mean, 1 for Edgar, but also 2 for Lurky, because Lurky is so dang cute. And that's part of why I wanted to really bring that little duder to life with a ball gown. thought it would be cute. The sewing is finally done, so we turn the sleeves inside out so they're the right way. And we go ahead and model those cute little pieces of accessories for the entire ball gown. So those will go with the ball gown. Now the final accessory is a muff. Lurky wears a hoodie with like the front hoodie pocket that you put both your hands in. So I modeled the shape of the muff off of that, and I created a custom template for that. I'm cutting 2 pieces of it onto nice purple velvet so it's nice and soft on the outside to start that. And then I'm also tracing and cutting that template onto 2 pieces of the same purple satin that we used for the top of the dress, so that way the inside has a nice lining. So now we have 2 pieces that we're doing. One piece has a piece of velvet and a piece of the satin, and the other piece has a piece of velvet and a piece of the satin. I am pinning those together inside out, and then I'm going to sew a majority of them together except for the tops of them. I'm leaving an opening at the top. I'm then going to turn them the correct way so they're no longer inside out and start stuffing them with some of that white fluff stuffing that you would normally use for like plushies, just so it gives it a little bit of soft and squishiness to the muff. And then instead of sewing, I'm going to sew those top holes closed finally. Don't cut any of the excess yet, because what we're going to do is we're going to sew those top pieces together, but inside out, so the satin is facing the outsides and the velvets are on the inside, and we're sewing those top pieces together, cut away the excess, and then flip it, so now the velvet pieces are on the outside, and you can use, I hand sewing the bottom together. And it's done. Thanks so much for watching this cosplay crafting tutorial. Sorry if it was a bit of a mess. If you want to see what we made actually with the finished cosplay, make sure to check the links in my description and let me know what your crafting questions are in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see what I'm crafting up next. Bye-bye!